Hey everybody, welcome back. It's the Mac, and welcome back to the channel and a showcase of Squad Battles Winter War from Wargame Design Studio. One of the games I picked up during the winter sale, and I wanted to show it on the channel. It's been a while since I actually showcased a Squad Battles game. So we're going back to the small unit action, 40-meter hexes, 5-minute turns, intense combat, and with all the new goodies, the improvements, the enhancements of the new patches. Mind you, this is still 401. Eagle Strike is the actual only title with the 402 patch that came out recently. But this was released when they revamped three of their titles to the 401 with the big sort of improvements and enhancements of the game. So Winter War, man, it is a cool era of war. I mean, there's not that many war games depicting this era, actually, on the market and through the ages. I mean, of course, there's been some, but not that exclusively focus on the actual Finnish Winter War. It was actually a big operation and a big war, a big part of the Second World War. It was the early engagement between Russia and Finland there after Nazi Germany had that pact with Russia to divide up East and West, so to speak, which of course the Germans never were going to commit to, but Stalin was enjoying the capturing and taking over territories. But this actually kicked off afterwards at the winter of '39, after the Polish campaign there. And so it was a very bloody affair and a very interesting battle with a sort of David and Goliath sort of thing going on. I mean, you can sort of draw parallels, I guess, to modern day with Russia attacking Ukraine. It's David and Goliath duking it out. The Finns were in the same position. You know, their sovereign country was invaded and violated by the Russian oppression. It was the same thing that happened, but this is 1939, man. So we're going to have a look at the game and talk about history and stuff and look at the scenarios that comes with this game. And of course, I'm going to be doing a Let's Play. I haven't decided yet. It's not going to be included in this video. This is just going to be, as I usually do, an introductory video. Show off what comes with the game and how cool it is. Right, so there's actually campaigns that come with this game as well. I think there's like 58 scenarios that comes with it. And 3 campaigns. And a bunch of stuff that you get. PDF files, information, notes, maps, the works. So we're gonna have a look at that. So where to start? Well, I do what I usually do. We're going to the almighty notes, man. The almighty notes are actually only 12 pages in this title, and you know the notes, the almighty notes, usually like loads, but there's only 12 pages here, man. What they decided to focus on is the actual sort of the Winter War. I mean, the history and the backdrop of the conflict, basically. It's 12 pages long. There is something in the end. Let's see if I can remember it. There's a chronology of the Winter War as well. But there is here the Winter War Scenario Designer Notes. So they have included that as well in the end. It's basically historical sort of skimming through some and how they actually came to do some of the scenarios and stuff. But this first part is the actual history and reasons why the war started. So I briefly went into that just recently now when I talked about it. It was the dawning of World War II there, when those superpowers, like, I mean, Russia was a superpower. I mean, even though they had like a really crap army, and Stalin had taken over and purged his officers and killed off all the threats, both political and within the army, and replaced them with these commissars and political brainwashed people to do his bidding, basically. But they had sort of zero military experience and were pretty green, and didn't really know tactics and stuff. It's like we actually see today how the Russians behave in the battlefield. Meat waves. Just run up and die, basically, and waste your stuff, and hopefully the enemy will run out of bullets. The Finns weren't really that prepared for war either. They had a very small army and a very small population. But I think they managed to muster something like 170,000 soldiers, roughly, that was going to be manning different parts of the border, and of course the Mannheim line, which is well known. The commander in charge was actually Mannheim, and so it was named after him. It was a fortified border where you would probably expect mostly the Russians to attack from, which they did, and other places. So it was, yeah, here it is. It's right here, and the Russians were really struggling to get through this Mannheim. The Finns really hand on viciously and caused huge casualties on the Russians. I mean, insane amount, because they attacked with lots of units. They had like loads of divisions and all. Not that much armor, but there was some armor, but lots of infantry divisions, and the superiority in air force was insane. I think the Finnish only had like slightly over 100 aircraft, and we're talking the Russians had thousands. They're like almost 3,000 aircraft. I mean, it's insane, right? But what the Finns had was some pretty good flak guns and stuff. Lots of stuff was actually given from Sweden. We were actually helping Finland out in the Winter War, since they are our close allies, and we've have a very strong bond between Sweden and Finland. We sent them quite a lot of arms and armaments, and many of the Finnish children actually evacuated from Finland to Sweden to be safe from bombings and other things. And we actually trained Finnish soldiers on Swedish soil and sent them back over the border to fight the Russians. Not really sure if we actually had Swedish boots on the ground. I don't think so. I don't think we did, because we were sort of very careful in treading the thin line of being neutral even back then. Even though you can't really say Sweden was neutral, man. We were pretty much cowards during the Second World War. I must admit, we were cowards, or self-preservation. We just didn't want to get our country occupied and bombed, and that's a coward. We didn't take a stand, but we did help out. But we were sort of helping the Nazis as well. So, I mean, our history is pretty dark when it comes to the Second World War. Yeah, enough to say about that. But Finland, then, they fought like crazy, and they were defending off the country, and they made the Russians pay a heavy price. The White Death, man. Here's something down here. It says, along the Soviet army groups surged across the entire length of the Finnish border with an estimated 600,000 troops, man. Tanks and artillery. 12 to 14 divisions. 3 tank brigades. Okay, so it's quite a lot of tanks anyways, but what they were struggling with was the winter and the small, crappy roads in Finland. They got easily congested with all these thousands and thousands of troops trying to march through with wagons and horses and heavy weapons and stuff. And the Finns were mobile. They were like guerrilla tactics. They were on skis, and they had like winter camouflage and stuff. And they had excellent weapons. They were good marksmen. They did lack anti-tank guns and artillery. They were pretty inferior in that, but they did have some really good weapons, and they used them well. They also had the knowledge of the area. They could, find their way around the woods easily. The Russians got lost and were confused, and they were sort of easy pickings for some of the more experienced troops of the Finnish army. Sisu, it's called. It's a saying that the Finns fight with determination, and they don't back down. They fight for the last man, and they try to take as many of the enemy with them before they go down. So that was something the Russians felt pretty viciously there. I think one of the most famous snipers, the White Death, actually is very famous from the Winter War. He had killed a lot of Russians. You can safely say that. He was like one of the most successful snipers of the Second World War. He was a master in taking out and not being seen. He was actually hit. I think he was hit in the face. And like part of his face was damaged and ripped off, but he went and got sort of healed up and went back and and fought. So he was a badass, man, real badass. Yeah, so there's some more maps and stuff here. Yeah, so this is one when they had to give this territory up to the Russians when they lost there. But they had lots of different tactics. They had something called Motti. They were really good. You could draw parallels to it if you know your Roman history, basically. I mean, when the Roman legions were marching into Germania and they got lost and they got sort of attacked by basically superior numbers, and they couldn't use their tactics well in confined spaces, and they were sort of cut off into segments and isolated pockets, and then cut down and destroyed. That's basically what the Finnish did to the Russian troops when they came into Finland. I mean, they massacred so many groups. They cut them up into pieces, and then they sort of annihilated these pockets of Russian forces and captured a shitload of equipment that they can use, like guns and everything. There was also like the famous Lati submachine gun. They was superior to any sort of submachine gun of the time. It was a superior machine gun throughout the war. It was really high rate of fire, and a really good, reliable submachine gun that was used a lot to mow down these rows of Russians charging forward, basically. So the weaponry was really good, but unfortunately they didn't have enough soldiers. They had very few soldiers, and once the Russians breached the Mannheim line, they were closing in on some of the cities in Finland, and the situation was desperate. And Mannheim threw in his last reserves, but it was a tally basically. I mean, you can only sort of, it was a war of attrition. You can only lose so many guys to so many, and then you're out of soldiers basically, and the enemy will sort of overwhelm you. And that's basically what happened. They sued for peace, and the Russians actually accepted it, but the Finnish lost these territories to the Soviet Union at the time. So this is the Mannheim line down here. So you can imagine they had to lose all these territories, but they didn't take any more. And but then you have something called the continuation war. It's actually not. It might actually be, some scenarios actually I think are covering the continuation war in this, and they fought back, and then they were sort of, they allied themselves with Germany at the time, because Germany was launching an attack into the Operation Barbarossa. And the Finnish got some help. They got weapons, man, and there was even German divisions fighting in Finland to kill. I mean, to fight the Soviets. There was an Engelbrecht division was actually sent through Sweden, man. We actually talk about neutral, huh? We actually gave the green light for a whole German division to pass through Sweden on railroads into Finland. That's how neutral we were, man. And they sort of helped the Finns to fight the Russians. And they were doing really good, man. They were coming down and they were getting close. But then the tide was turning in Barbarossa, and the Germans were like, they didn't manage to grab Moscow and all that. And the fighting got worse, and the Russians got the upper hand there in 1944, and they were pushed back, and all the territories they actually captured were lost. So, but that was actually a continuation war there. So, yeah, that's what basically this thing you're talking about here, the whole history behind the war there. So it's pretty good. It's very interesting read that. You have the Getting Started file. It's really good as always. I haven't actually played the getting started with this. I just jumped straight into a scenario and played it because I sort of know these games by now. But I usually actually, even though I know these games and how they work and I played them a lot, I usually play the getting started because there's always something new that you pick up that you have forgot or something important. But the looks of this one, it looks like you're doing an assault versus a Russian bunker. That could be interesting. This is probably good learning experience how to tackle like fortified positions and stuff. I might actually play this. Maybe not as a let's play, but as a off camera maybe to, brush up my knowledge of how to do these things. So that's probably very good getting started to play. If you guys get the game, this will probably be the first one you play. The user manual is huge. It's 123 pages, man. So it's revised. It's got the new graphics and all the new layout and stuff. It's really good. I think I went over this and actually just recently in Screaming Eagles. Eagle Strike. So yeah, it's great. You can actually download these from the web page as well. Quickly have a look at the page here. So this is really good that they have this. You can download all this, like user manuals, and designer notes as well. So all this stuff you can actually download for free on the site. They also have something called operations. This is the all the scenarios basically, and all the text. This text is, I think it's actually in the game as well. Right off the bat, so this is a 4.01 release. As we saw in the 4.02, they've actually included some more information, basically how the scenarios are meant to be played. If you're going to play, as the Finnish or the Russians versus the AI, or you can do it head to head. So this was something that happened in all the 401 releases. I've noticed is that it's not clearly stated in, I would say, 95% of the scenarios on actually if they're suitable for PBMs or what side to play. There are some, you can see this one here, it says best played as Russian against the AI. So I'm taking a huge leap here, and I think most scenarios that haven't got anything telling you are sort of meant to be played as the Finnish. I would think so. And the ones stated that you should play with the Russians are the ones that you should, basically. Otherwise, you should play versus the AI. One thing, though, that is not included anywhere here is, I think I went through them quite carefully, and I couldn't find anything that it states clearly if they are meant to be played on PBM or not. That's a big issue these days, especially if this scenario has been designed to sort of be played from a human versus human, and if it's balanced and stuff. It's a big issue if you want to play a battle and you find that you have sort of no chance in hell to do anything and just get overrun. Maybe that was the case historically in that particular fight or not, but I mean, it should be stated if the person that made it sort of had that in mind, that this should be played fair and square as a PBM. There's a big chance for both you players to actually win this one or whatever, man. So it's not included, but they probably will do that in 402. This one will be upgraded to 402 as well in due time. So that's one thing. If I feel that it should be clearly stated. They also have a vehicle and weapons encyclopedia that comes pretty cool. So this is crunching the numbers, but all the units that actually are in the with their ratings and stuff for all hardcore gamers to have a look at. But it's here, so I think that's pretty cool. Also included is this book, 400 pages. It's called The White Death. It's written by William R. Trotter from 2008 there. It's the Russo-Finnish Winter War, 39 to 40. So it's a book, 400 pages. It's pretty cool, and they actually included that in this game that you can read a book. So I think that's pretty cool. Um, so if you feel like reading the book, there, do it. They also have this is sort of a new installment for the huge upgrades for the squad battles. This is the visual order of battles. Uh, I think they're pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool that they've done this for people who want to go in to actually have a look at. So this is they're actually reforming them from scenarios. So this is the order of battle for the getting started basically, and then you have the next scenario, teriyaki, and forces come there, and the Finnish forces. I guess you can see the Finnish forces have no anti-tank guns, and but they had other implements. They had like sticks and dynamites and stuff they made. They also introduced actually the Molotov cocktail, which is usually credited to the Russians, but it was actually the Finnish that used it first, the Molotov cocktail, and to take out tanks and armored vehicles and trucks and like troop concentrations and stuff. So you got to give the credit to the Finns, man, that they came up with that. And they also have those sort of stick. I mean TNT basically, like grenade bundles and stuff that they used to blow up these. I mean the tanks of the day wasn't. I mean BT5s and stuff, and these BT3s. These armored BA. Are they called maybe BA? So hard to read here. A BA, yeah, the BA3 stuff. These were like paper cars, not really, but were lightly armed, and they could easily be taken out by something that made a big bang, basically. So they have that. I think that's pretty cool. On the with all these scenarios and stuff. So the visual order of battle, it's cool. They actually have another one as well, and it's called, this one I just showed you is figures, and this one actually called heads as well. Right, so what else to show? We went to the web page there. Let's get back in the game. Actually, we can open this. So they do have campaigns. There's 3 campaigns as well. So we could just show you. They have one, Arne Jutilainen. It's a Finnish lieutenant in the 34th Infantry Regiment. They have Captain Saikonen, in the Finnish captain in the 4th Cavalry Squadron. And they also have a Russian campaign. It's called with Lieutenant Korovin, a Russian lieutenant in the 100th Rifle Division. So they actually have that 3 campaigns. I think that's pretty cool. Lots to actually to play, and some of the battles are pretty big as well. Many turns. So we could just quickly go into have a look at the graphics. Sure, we could just open this, getting started here. We'll do manual here, right? So same sort of, okay, support existence scenarios of smoke 5. Okay, so you can fire smoke. Yeah, so they have the same. I'm going to just go into 3D. And 3D looks pretty badass, man. There's a bunker there, yeah. There's a burned out BT2 tank there, right? And these are all destroyed trees with craters and stuff. And you have your Finnish squads there getting ready. So I actually like the alternate graphics. I thought that was pretty cool, actually, these portraits. Somebody actually asked me on the channel if these portraits are AI generated. I don't think so. They look pretty genuine, man. They look like they could be real photographs that someone has sort of, fiddled around with. They look pretty slick. Okay, these guys look pretty badass. They have morale B, so these are no joke. These guys have C, but these guys are pretty badass. They're morale B. I would imagine the Finns have A in everything. Yeah, these guys. You see here you have a grenade bundle, so that's probably a good to blow this bunker up here. It has a 32 defense value. They have a Maxim machine gun in there with the leader. Some guys hiding in trenches. 8 men. 9 men and a leader there. So they have pretty good defense there, 16. These guys are where? Trees. They're sort of hiding there on the ground. Looks like a commander. He has a radio. And the Finns. They have a mortar company. That's pretty cool. A spotter for that. A first platoon leader. Yep, he's got 8 men under his command right here. So they have the MP-18. Range 2. That looks more like a rifle than anything. Doesn't look like a submachine gun, that. Sumi submachine gun you have here. 9mm MP1. Looks more like a scoped rifle, that. Yeah, so here's a Sumi range 3, lethality 24, penetration 4. So penetration is maybe not the best, but the lethality is great. 24, so it's pretty deadly submachine gun there. And they also have a bundle of grenades. What's this? We have the 7th Company. He's the main man there. And they have the Lati light machine gun was very good as well. Oh, so the submachine gun was called Zumi, and the Lati was the light machine gun there. And you have another group here. Looks pretty dangerous mission, man. Okay, so the visibility is in your favor. Oh, okay, hold on. Not really. So you're sort of hidden up to here. So a good thing would be to try to... They've got barbed wire and stuff, but you probably have to sneak up. Sort of attack them from the flanks, I would imagine. Could probably creep up quite a bit here. Okay, you can get right up here. This is probably the weak flank here. He's got 8 men there. They do have a light machine gun there, though. These guys only have rifles, but they do have the main machine gun there. Has a pretty good field of fire. So yeah, I'm getting into the as if I'm going to be playing this. Now I just want to show you guys. So it's going to be obviously a lot of snow maps, a lot of white maps to mess around with. But all in all, pretty cool game. I've been looking at this game for a long time, actually. Always been sort of, my mouse pointer has been sort of swaying over the buy button, but never really. But because I really want to own like a winter war game. This conflict has always been fascinating. That Finland actually pulled off. Well, they lost in the end, but you would say it was maybe it could have been a tactical victory only for the Russians. It wasn't a major victory. I mean, the manpower they lost was insane, but tactical loss probably for the Finnish. They lost some territories and stuff, but it's a fascinating time. How they fought and the tenacity to defend your country from an aggressor like this. So pretty cool. Not sure what else to say about this game. I think I covered most stuff. We're going to be looking at scenarios and stuff. I think I'm going to pick something and duke it out. I'm going to get the feel of the new mechanics of the game, how it works, what they have actually made. I mean, you do have the changes file, so quite a lot that's been fixed for bugs and all the enhancements. A lot. It's actually some AI enhancements as well. That would be interesting to see. They have randomized background graphic choice in the targeting dialogue. Okay. New weapon types, heavy weapon guns, weapon types supported. Civilians and POWs enabled for all games. That's pretty cool. A+ leaders now have quality modifier to 0.25. So a big, huge upgrade for this series. It's going to be fun to try it out. Good old Winter War. Yes, I'm going to end it here, man. and I'll see you in the sort of part one of a Let's Play. If there's any, if you guys know any like particular battle that you want to see that took place or something that's interesting, you can write that in comments and stuff, and I might actually choose that if it's not too long. But Squad Battles is more fast paced than any of the other titles, so it should be fast action, hopefully. So I want to thank you for watching, man, and I will see you in the next part. So have a good one.